Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Missy, this little guy is Paul, and today we are going to be talking about baby gas. Specifically just my experience with baby gas with Paul, because he had it really bad his first couple months that he was alive, so I was going to talk about that. I'm also going to try to make this video really quick, because I'm sure if you are watching a video on baby gas, you have a little one that currently is suffering from baby gas, and you probably want immediate help if possible. I know I did. I was searching it constantly at like 11 p.m. So I'm going to hit 3 different parts here. I'm going to talk about some techniques you can do right this second to hopefully alleviate gas. I'm going to talk about some medications that you can take that we took, and then I'm going to talk about some prevention methods that you can try to do to prevent gas from happening. I'm going to attempt to put a card up here that shows the timestamps of those 3 sections in case you want to skip ahead. So the gas started for Paul kind of around, I think, when he was a month, and lasted till he was about 3 months, which is a little bit unusual. Also in month 2, he stopped pooping. He went about 10 days. We actually took him to the pediatrician, so he had something going on in his tummy that was probably not totally normal, which contributed to the excess gas. So the first thing you can do straight away to help gas pains is lay your baby on their back, and you're going to basically use their legs to try to push the air bubbles out of their little bum and out of their GI tract. The most common thing you can do is called bicycles, where you're just basically taking their knees and gently, you don't want to force them, but gently kind of going back and forth. Actually, when Paul was little, he loved this and thought it was a game. And sometimes if he was crying and we did this, it would calm him down. Another thing, I don't know what this technique is called, but we'd grab both legs together and kind of push them up towards his belly. Again, just trying to get that air out. And the last method that I found on YouTube, I'll see if I can find the original YouTube and link it below, but it's called the I love you method, where you're basically drawing on their belly an I, an L, and then a U upside down. So what you're trying to do is go clockwise on their belly, which mimics the way that their intestines are going, just lightly pushing, trying to, again, encourage those little air bubbles to go out. So if that's something we did all the time, it's free. You can go on Pinterest and Google it and look up baby gas massages, I guess would be the best thing to look up. And you can find a ton more. Those were the 3 that we used for Paul and seemed to work very, very well. For medications, over the counter, we did not get any prescriptions. From research and some of my mom friends, the 2 that we went after were gas drops and Gripe water. So these are the brands that I use. This is the Gripe water. It's by Mommy's Bliss on Amazon, of course. If you know me, I get everything on Amazon. We actually still use this today for teething, so this is extremely helpful. I will say though that based on the reviews and what my pediatrician told me, that this doesn't work for all babies. Sorry, put Paul down for a second, he's getting a little fussy. So the Gripe water doesn't work for all babies. Fortunately, it worked for Paul. It helped gas, it helped him sleep if he was just fussy because of the gas. It helped work things out. We actually use it now for teething as well. It's super helpful. We like it a lot. The only downside is you're giving them quite a bit even as a little baby. I don't know what the actual measurement is. It's about 3 milliliters. Look at the package if you decide to go this, or ask your pediatrician, but it's about that much, that's quite a bit to give to a little newborn. So you read a lot of comments where people say, oh my God, I'm drowning my baby, because they'll suck it up, and yeah, they'll gag and choke on it. So my recommendation is, it usually comes with something like this. This is one I purchased online by was that MediFrida? FridaBaby. And she gives you this syringe, and then she gives you this pacifier. It's a silicone pacifier. The syringe actually fits in the pacifier, and then you give this to the baby. And what I actually do in addition to that is I physically hold both and slow it down, because Paul will suck this through and he'll choke, or not choke, but gag on the Gripe water. And then after he's done, this can even come off and you can cap that little hole, and then they can keep sucking on this if they wanted to. The other one that I got was this kind from Amazon, and the bottom just comes off. This one's by Munchkin. I think this is really inexpensive. I like this one too. It has the measurements, if you can see that, on the cup. You fill it up to whatever it is. The top goes on, and then you can kind of give it to him, and he would slam this if this is Gripe water. Both of those are really helpful. The other one that works right away were gas drops. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of brands. This one's by Little Remedies. This is the kind that we used. It's really just like instant relief. Kind of reminds me if you had the equivalent of like Tums for babies, kind of sort of in that realm. But when we did talk to our pediatrician about his gas and his gas problems, she said, my pediatrician, that to use these sparingly, and she said we could use the gripe water as much as we wanted to. It's really more of a holistic thing. If you taste it, and I've actually tasted it, it has like a ginger taste to it, which makes sense if you have an upset stomach. So it's ginger, it's really just an herbal supplement. So this is, I guess, according to my pediatrician, more safe than giving them gas drops constantly. So that's what we did. And the other piece of advice that she gave us is both of these, sorry, I'm trying to hold him with one hand. Both of these are not preventative. So even if you know I feed my baby and they get gas every single night at 10 o'clock, you really shouldn't give them gripe water or gas drops unless they have those symptoms. Unfortunately, that was another thing. The other thing that I'm sure you don't want to hear is time. They do kind of grow out of it. Some babies longer than others. I think Paul was a little bit longer. It was around 3 or 4 months. I just kind of noticed that he didn't get gas nearly as much. He still will every once in a while, but not nearly as bad as he did when he was a baby. So those are the medications. As long as you feel comfortable with it or want to talk to your pediatrician about it, go have your significant other, go grab those at CVS, Walmart, or whatever. Those are good to have on hand. The other one that's really a medication, kind of preventative, it won't work right away, kind of, are probiotics. So I started using these probiotics with chamomile drops, and it's called Calm and Comfort. There's a couple different brands. Walmart has a really good, what's their off-brand? Equate, I think. It's kind of the same thing. We use that as well. And these, you just give them 5 drops in the morning. You can either drop it right into their mouth, which I found kind of challenging. So what I did is I just put the 5 drops, like 2 or 3 at a time, on a very clean finger and then put that in his mouth. It was really easy. And that gave Paul results. It was crazy within a day. I wish I had known about that when he was born, to have those on hand. The other thing that I will say is I have some friends that formula feed. Paul's breastfed, so it's a little bit different. There are some specific formulas for gas if you have a gassy baby. I didn't use them, so I don't know anything about them, unfortunately, but that's something else you can look up. And other things for preventative is how you feed your baby. I didn't know any of this, so I figured I'd share it with you when I first started. So when I was feeding Paul breastfed, I was doing the hold. I'll try to find what it's called and link it below because I'm just drawing a blank at the moment. But the way I was holding him when I was breastfeeding, and he was half the size he is now, he was pretty much horizontal. And when I met with the lactation consultant for some other issues I was having, she said, no, you want to keep his head a little bit elevated, even just a little bit. So gravity is pulling the breast milk or formula down their tummy. That should help with gas in theory. The other thing is burping. I was horrible at burping. I hated burping. I didn't do a good job. I felt like I was hurting him sometimes. So my husband was the burper. He was awesome at it. The other thing of burping is time. They recommend on the American Pediatric website, it was a full 10 minutes of being upright after eating. Another thing you can do if you don't want to hold them and burp them for 10 minutes is I used to wrap him, wear him. So I'd feed him and immediately put him in the wrap so he was vertical. So that helps with gas going up. And then really just the last part is, again, time. The statement that you hear, this too shall pass, completely goes with gas, unless your baby has some kind of medical problem, obviously. But if it's just gas running its course, it does pass. It does get better, I promise. Those first couple of months are so hard. You'll get through it. He or she will get through it. And if you have any questions, don't feel bad to ask your pediatrician. Even as a first-time parent, sometimes you think it's silly to call your pediatrician because you have gas. I know I did, and I am so happy that I did. The nurse who called me back didn't talk to me like I was insane whatsoever. So when in doubt, call your pediatrician. I hope you found this video helpful, and if your baby does have gas, I hope they get over it soon and something in this video helped. Well, that's all we had. Trying to keep it short and quick. Do you have anything else to add? No? You're not even gonna look at the camera? No? Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Like this video if you want to see more content like this, and we'll see you next time. Bye.